Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. I'm not going to read through the full article. I'll give you a pretty thorough overview. There is a link in the description. It's a tragic situation. It involves the shooting and the killing of the man that you see in front of you. 19 years old. His name is Carson Seinfeld or Senfield. Carson Senfield. And he was shot dead at 1:30 a.m. on Saturday when he entered a stranger's vehicle by mistake, the article says, after returning home in an Uber. So I'll give you a bit of an overview. So essentially, he's a student from the University of Tampa, and he went out with his buddies, his fellow students at the university. He went out to celebrate his 19th birthday. Now, the article doesn't mention anything about alcohol or any other kind of intoxication, but I can tell you that when I was at university, and if it was my 19th birthday celebration, then yeah, for sure there would have been some level of intoxication going on. Again, that's not mentioned, and I don't say that to be disrespectful, but I would assume, perhaps incorrectly, that that does play a part. Now, in essence, Carson got an Uber home, so he was in his Uber. We're not told of any issues up until the point that he left the Uber, and immediately after leaving the Uber car, he approached and attempted to enter another vehicle. Now, seemingly, he didn't. There was somebody in that other vehicle, and seemingly Carson did not know that other person. So it is possible that perhaps he thought it was somebody else's car. That's possible. We don't know the full details at this point, but certainly he tried to enter in another vehicle. We're not sure if he did actually enter. That part isn't clear within this article, but there was somebody else in the vehicle that he tried to get into. That person claims to have been fearful for their life, and that person shot Carson in the upper part of his body, and Carson subsequently died. The shooter has not been arrested. In Florida, there are laws, stand your own ground laws. It's still early in the investigation. This again happened very early Saturday morning, 1:30 a.m. So it is early in the investigation, but at this point in time, it seems that the shooter will not be charged, that they acted in self-defense. They claim to have been fearful for their life. That's all the information that we have at this point in time. Again, we don't know that Carson was intoxicated. We don't know why he tried to enter the vehicle. The article isn't telling us if indeed he did enter the vehicle. We're not told of any struggle. We're not told of any arguments or verbal disagreement with the other person in the vehicle. We're not given a lot of information, and perhaps that information will come to light over the next few days. Perhaps I'll do a follow-up video. I'll tell you my opinion on the situation, which may be controversial, may not be, but obviously, first and foremost, it's an absolute shame that a 19-year-old man has lost their life. And I'm going to say, in my assumption, which again could be completely wrong, but my assumption would be that Carson is essentially an innocent person, an innocent man. Now, he may be guilty of committing a prank. He may be guilty of trying to get into a stranger's car, sure. But my assumption, and I could be wrong, but my assumption was he probably acted mistakenly and or whilst under the influence of alcohol or perhaps even other substances. And again, I don't say that to be in any way disrespectful. I don't mean any disrespect. I just know from my experience that when I was that age, when I was younger, when I was older, if I was going out to celebrate this, that, or the other, yeah, there's going to be alcohol involved. Yeah, there might be some other things involved too. And there would have been a few times in my experience and my friend's experience where you do things that you shouldn't really do, but you're doing them under the influence of alcohol, under the influence of other substances, under the influence of naivety and immaturity. You just do silly things to have some fun, and perhaps with an understanding that everything will be all right. You're not trying to cause anybody any actual harm. So that's what I would assume. Could be wrong, but my assumption would be that Carson is innocent of those things. Did not have bad intent, would be my assumption. But at the same time, the shooter does not know that. The shooter is aware that in Florida people have guns, there is crime, there are carjackings, and seemingly the shooter says that they were fearful for their life, and so far the investigators seem to be confident that that is likely the case, given that the shooter has not been arrested. I don't know, the shooter seems to be quite just. They may have overreacted, but people overreact. People are scared, people are fearful, and people do have the right to defend themselves. So it's seemingly, to me, a dreadfully unfortunate event. It's a tragedy that his life has been taken away, but I wouldn't necessarily blame the shooter. And but given the details that we know at this point in time, which really aren't adequate to make an absolute judgment, but from my point of view, I would give the shooter a pass on this one. That's my takeaway, given the information that we have within this article. The article does continue for quite a bit. There's a lot of nice words said about Carson from his friends, his family, his fellow students. And there's also a GoFundMe. It seems like the family perhaps is quite well to do. It seems like perhaps they've got a little bit of money. Apologies if that's inappropriate. But it's said that the GoFundMe, any funds raised by the GoFundMe, will go through to a scholarship to support another student. But I don't have a link to the GoFundMe. In any case, I'm going to wrap things up at this point. Of course, full condolences to the family concerned of young Carson. It is a tragedy. Condolences to his friends and fellow students. And also, I'm going to say condolences to the shooter. The shooter, if I go from a position of a presumption of innocence, the shooter didn't ask for this situation, presumably, and the shooter might be riddled with guilt for their involvement. They could be severely traumatized, troubled by this incident. So, condolences to them. And if they are an innocent party, if they were genuinely fearful, if they genuinely felt there was cause to shoot and defend themselves and their property, then I hope that they're able to get over that. It's not going to be easy. But in any case, I'm going to wrap things up at this point, guys. If you do appreciate the coverage, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit, and take care.